The anime begins in a world where demi-humans are slaves to humans. Our main character, Banaza, is nice to the demi-humans, but he is hated by the humans because of it. Even the demi-humans warn him about being kind to them, but Banaza insists. Banaza wishes everyone could just get along, but not many feel the same way. Just then Banaza gets summoned to another world where he is told that he is a hero candidate. He is now in the magical kingdom of Clyrode, but there in the middle of a prolonged battle against the Dark Army. The kingdom has been summoning potential heroes from other worlds, and the hopes that they will fight the Dark Army for them. The first course of action is to assess Banaza's abilities. In exchange for returning to level 1 after being summoned to their world, candidates received divine blessings from their gods. These are powers that no ordinary person can acquire simply by training. It is called divine revelation. Banaza is able to read their language, but everyone is horrified when the display shows that Banaza did not receive divine revelation. His stats are simply that of an ordinary person. This is incredibly disappointing, and the summoners deemed this a failure. Banaza tried to tell them that he's just an ordinary merchant, so now he asked that they simply send him home. Just then everyone is awe of a different candidate, as they state that someone has appeared who possesses powers worthy of the legendary hero. Everyone runs to this guy as all his stats are level 999. They deem him their savior and they begged that he fight for them. Banaza would just like to go home, but his words go unheard. He tries to think of a way to have them send him home, but the king is busy declaring that the blonde guy will be their hero. Sometime later, Banaza gets tossed into a carriage and taken away. A look back to just a moment ago, he's looking king telling Banaza that his summoning gate closed and they can't send him home. The kingdom acknowledges that it's their fault, so they will compensate. Instead of simply getting rid of him, they will allow him to live in the Delavisa forest in the north where he can live out the rest of his useless life. The only condition is that he not tells anyone about the mistake they made. On the way there, Banaza's escort explains that he's not allowed to speak to him. Banaza is very nice though, and he's able to get the guy to talk. He revealed that in this country, it doesn't matter if you're a human or demi-human. They're all treated equally. Banaza thinks about how things were looking so good at first. He has the worst stats, he's being forced to live in the forest, and there's some dark army threatening humanity. However, Banaza won't be looked down upon anymore, so he begins to think that this world might not be so bad. It takes 20 whole days for them to reach the forest. When they do, Banaza is given a bottomless bag that has enough money and food to last them for a while. Their driver warns that the dark army lurks around in this forest. So if he wants to live, then he encourages Banaza to get away from there as fast as possible. When alone, Banaza takes a sword from his inventory and notices some slime nearby. They look similar to the ones from his old world, so he assumes that they want to attack him. He is very wrong though, so Banaza must defend himself. He manages to survive the encounter, but his cheap weapon has already begun to fall apart. Just then, a notification reveals that he just reached level 2. His stats look different from before, but Banaza is confused by the strange symbol that has replaced the numbers. Banaza turns on voice notifications, so the voice tells them that he has acquired some magic spells. He will be able to activate them without putting any windows, and Banaza is shocked by all the spells he acquired. Just then, an alert reveals that a monster alert spell was placed on the bottomless bag he was given. This monster lure is definitely why this slime attacked him. Also, considering that the weapon he was given was practically useless, Banaza determines that the king was setting him up to die. The voice would like to know if he wants to remove the lure spell, so he does. And Banaza wonders why they would use magic that's so easy to get rid of. Banaza goes to look for a safe spot to take shelter, but the notification stops him. It reveals that the force has a very high concentration of malicium. It's a generic term for liquids or gases emitted by demons. It causes serious harm to humans, so the voice would like to know if he wants to purify the forest. Our unassuming protagonist thinks it's a good idea if that's something the system can do, especially if you will have to live in the forest. The system explains that it will consume 1/3 of his magic, but Banaza figures that he is so powerless that it doesn't matter. Banaza is shocked though when the purification spell activates, and it ends up being a grand display of magic. Just then the notifications go crazy, as Banaza levels up several times. Back at the castle, the princess points out how terrible it was to send Banaza to the forest, especially since everything was all their fault. The worst part about it is that the Dark Army set up their front lines in the Delavisa forest. The king couldn't care less, as he just calls Banaza useless piece of trash, unfit to be their hero. Just then, the king is urgently told that someone just used the highest holy magic of all purification. The king is amazed that the golden-haired hero was able to acquire such high-level holy magic already, but he is shocked when he is told that that's not him. The golden-haired hero has headed south, but the purification spell was used in the forest to the north. Back with our protagonist Banaza, he finds that he has leveled up all the way to level 367. He didn't even eliminate any monsters, so Banaza determines that in this world you can level up just by using magic. What's even more confusing to him is that the strange symbol is still showing up next to his stats. This is all a lot to take in, so Banaza decides to hide the level of notifications. Banaza checks to see how much magic he has left, and he is surprised to see that it's been fully restored in just seconds. Instead of thinking he has some amazing ability, Banaza assumes that his magic capacity is just terrible. He worries that he might still be in danger, as he assumes that his magic is so weak that it probably didn't purify the force that well. Banaza banned from living in the town, so the system recommends that he used shape-shifting magic. This would allow him to go unnoticed, so Banaza gives it a try. He tries out changing gender, but regrets it pretty quickly and changes to something better suited for him. The system then recommends that he use teleportation magic, so he teleports into the city. In his old world, teleportation was a spell that only really powerful sorcerers could use, so Banaza assumes that this world is different and everyone can use it here. The clever Banaza tries to teleport himself to his old world, but it doesn't work. He then looks for a guild, so he can make some money. Registering as a merchant might be difficult since he is so new, so he hopes to find an adventurous guild. That way he can do some monster hunting or transport quests. Luckily, his system gives him directions to the guild, when their receptionist is explained that adventurers are assigned ranks based on their accomplishments. They can earn better rewards and accept tough requests as their rank rises. It's pretty much the same as guilds in his old world, so Banaza decides to register. He can't give his real name though, so he goes with Fleo instead. Fleo wants to make money quickly, but he is too low for rank to earn very much. Just then Fleo overhears a girl in need of someone they can escort her to the Delavisa forest. Unfortunately, she doesn't have much money to offer. Even worse, it is rumored that the Dark Army has its frontline base in that forest. No one is willing to take her, but she is desperate to help her family that lives near there. Some adventurers shove her aside when they become annoyed, so Fleo offers to take her. She explains that she doesn't have much to offer, but Fleo says it's not a big deal since he has been there before, and he can just teleport them there. Everyone is absolutely shocked to hear him say that he can use teleportation magic, but they don't believe he can use such a rare ability and they just think he's lying. The clueless Fleo was surprised that it's not a beginner spell, especially since it didn't even use that much of his mana. Just then, one of the royal knights named Balarasa demands that he get away from the girl. She declares that Fleo doesn't look like a skilled enough sorcerer to use such an advanced spell, so she is suspicious of him. Her group is just as skeptical, and they all accuse him of planning to do something devious. Fleo realizes that he can't afford to cause any suspicion, so he offers to take them all with him. They go somewhere hidden so he can use teleportation, but Balarasa warns him not to try anything funny. Fleo instantly teleports them and they're shocked. Teleportation alone is already unbelievable, but he was able to take them really far away. They wonder if he's a great sorcerer of the highest order, but Fleo just tells them that he's a rookie adventurer who can use a bit of magic. They all apologize for treating him so poorly, but he's just glad that they aren't suspicious of him anymore. Just then, the young girl notices that the force isn't covered by a thick layer militium anymore. Fleo prepares to tell her what he did, but his system warns that it's dangerous to inform a demon about him using purification magic. Fleo is confused by the mention of a demon, but Balarasa and her group aim their weapons at the little girl. The guild has been suspicious of her, so Balarasa demands that she showed them her true form. The little girl acts terrified at first, but soon she shocks everyone when she reveals her true self. Her name is Fenrir's younger sister of Fangarel of the Infernal Four. She releases enough militium to bring all the girls to their knees, and Balarasa is shocked as she wasn't expecting the girl to be a demon related to the Infernal Four. Fenris is impressed to see that Fleo is unaffected by militium, so she decides to leave him for last. Fleo manages to save Balarasa, but knows that he won't be able to run away himself while still protecting the 4 girls. Fleo commands his ability to teleport all the girls away, and he impresses himself when it actually works. Fleo doesn't know what he was chosen to come here, but he refuses to be eliminated before he gets to do anything in this new world. Fleo decides to stand up and fight, so he prepares to try out every single spell he has. Things continues. Fenris tries to stop him, but it's no use, as Fleo uses a spell called Meteorically to launch himself into the sky. Fleo surprises himself without skillful that was and uses another ability to defend himself. Fenris shows that she is skilled for herself as she changes location to escape Fleo's whirlwind, but Fleo uses a gravitational spell to stop her from moving. Fenris is stunned at how powerful he is, and Fleo desperately searches through all his spells to find one that will restrain her. His system recommends that he was subjugation magic. It enslaves his target, allowing Fleo to control their thoughts and actions. Fleo refuses to use magic like that, but time is running out as Fenris is about to break free. She keeps trying to use spells, but Fleo's system keeps negating them. It's only a matter of time before she breaks loose, so this system once again recommends a huge subjugation magic. Keeps telling him to do it, so Fleo keeps refusing because he just came to this world and he doesn't want to bring that kind of corruption from his previous world. Just then Fenris concedes that she doesn't have the magic to break free, and just tells Fleo to end her life. Fleo refuses to do it as he explains that he doesn't even like fighting in the first place. Fenris is shocked when he frees her, so she points out that she is a warrior of the demons who does battle with humans. Fleo explains that he doesn't care if someone is human or demon, he just doesn't like eliminating someone that has already surrendered. Fenris is shocked by his kindness and she undoes her beast transformation to revert back into a human. Fleo offers to let her go, but he wants her to promise that she won't hurt any more humans. He checks his bottomless bag for some clothes for her, but her magic is depleted and she falls asleep. That night Fleo looks at all the different types of magic he has. He thinks about how people were in disbelief to hear that he could teleport, and Fleo wonders why he has such powerful magic. Fenris wakes up and wonders how she could have lost even though she is resistant to magic. She realizes the Fleo healed her while she was sleeping, and points out the other people would have eliminated her and skinned her. Fleo didn't, so she promises never to fight humans ever again. Furthermore, Fleo demonstrated such immense power that she has decided to acknowledge him as her master. She vows to dedicate her life to repaying him, but Fleo says it's okay. She doesn't back down and even offers to willingly be his slave. Fleo refuses to own any slaves, but she determines that if she can't serve him, then there's nothing left to live for. Fleo stops her and gives in, allowing her to follow him. Later, Fleo tells her everything about how he was summoned, and failed to be a hero candidate because he had no skills. Fleo shows her what he really looks like, and explains that he doesn't know what to do next. He is sure that she will regret following him, but she explains that her race lives solely for the one they recognize as their master. No matter who he is or where he is from, she swears to always be loyal to him. Fleo once again agrees to let her stay by his side, and she could not be any happier. At the castle, the king is disappointed to hear that the golden hero just let the troops he was in charge of gets eliminated. This hero blames the soldiers for panicking, and he explains that he did all he could to save them. He leaves, but another soldier tells the king that the hero just sat behind the army the entire time. Then he ran away while everyone else fought, and he blamed everyone for losing. It looked pretty bad, so some of the troops started to dislike the hero. When he is alone, the hero is furious that none of his abilities have improved at all, even after an entire month of training. He can hold his own against weak monsters, but he is helpless against any beast with any kind of fighting ability. Just then the hero's servant named Tsuya arrives to greet him. This guy is a real piece of work as he tells her to come with him so he can indulge her in every luxury with the castle's money. The next day, Fleo decides to go to the Adventurers Guild to make some money, but he still can't get used to Fenris calling him master. Some merchant mistakes them for a married couple, so Fleo thinks that make it easier to travel together without looking suspicious if they act like they are a couple. Fenris happily agrees to be his wife, since it's a Lupin's dream to have a strong husband. Fleo tries to remind her that they will just be pretending, but it's too late as she is already calling him darling. At the Adventurers Guild, Fenris gets her own adventurous tag. Having matching accessories with Fleo reminds Fenris of something. Her race, called Lupins, perform a marriage ritual in which a mated pair swallows the bones of a prey that they hunted together. Luckily for our protagonist, this thought is interrupted when the guild receptionist asks for Fenris's name. Fenris calls out to the human woman as she proudly prepares to say her real name, but Fleo interrupts her and registers her under the name Reese. Afterwards, Fleo explains that he needs her to live as a human from now on, so she needs to get used to using fake names. Just then, it is announced that the guild has an urgent quest to stop some psycho bears from entering the city. All the adventurers are terrified since the psycho bears are the ones that destroyed the hero's army. It's an emergency, so adventurers of any rank are eligible to take the job. To encourage someone to take it, the guild will pay out 10 times the normal amount per bear. The job is clearly very profitable, but Fleo doubts he can handle it. Reese insists that he can, but Fleo points out that the real hero even failed to defeat them. Reese then comes up with an idea. She will defeat the psycho bears herself, and this will prove how strong Fleo is, since he was the one who defeated her. Fleo teleports them to the forest where they will find the bears, and there's a vacant house there that the guild told them they can use as a base. Reese assured that she can handle the battle on her own, but Fleo refuses to let her. Besides that, he also has some spells he wants to test, so Reese just glad that they will be together. Just then, they hear screaming and find the group of knights from before surrounded by psycho bears. Reese remembers them well and just wants to ignore the pathetic weaklings. The buff girl is in bad shape, but she still tries to fight. She only ends up in a bad spot, but luckily for the knights, the psycho bears are struck down by an attack. One dangerous bear remains, but it is defeated by Reese. It was Fleo's idea to save them, so Reese thinks that he's just too nice. The knights are all grateful, and they explained that they were worried about what might have happened to Fleo. Fleo fears that they might find out Reese's true identity, so he just introduces her as his travel companion. She wishes he would introduce her as his wife, but they're interrupted by another psycho bear. The bear goes right for Reese, but she knocks the thing out with just one terrifying glare. Reese acts like she doesn't know what happened, and the bear gnawed his head when they assumed that it has surrendered. They decide to take it as a pet, but this just shocks the knight since these psycho bears were ferocious enough to defeat the hero's army. Reese says that's even more of a reason to take it as their pet, but Fleo likes the thought of keeping it from hurting others. Fleo puts a collar on it that will prevent it from going wild, and hears a shape shift on it to change it into something that doesn't stand out as much. They try to think of a name for it, but the knights can't believe how casually they just tamed such a ferocious beast. Afterwards, the knights thank Fleo for saving them yet again, and they introduce themselves. Aside from Balarasa, there is Blossom the heavy fighter, Bolano the witch, and the ex-farmer named Bailarai. The knights reveal that they want Fleo to teach them how to fight. The golden hero was furious when his army failed him, so he declared that he would never lead another force against the Dark One. The only way he would reconsider as if he found people he could trust to serve him. The golden hero has locked himself in his room till this time comes, so the king issued an order to all the knights. They are to dedicate themselves to combat until they can eliminate beasts on the psycho bear's level. The 4 of them can't even defeat one psycho bear together, so they need Fleo's help. Fleo thinks about how he doesn't even know how magic works at all, so there's no chance that he will be able to teach anyone. Reese has her mind on something else though, as she is super jealous of the girls trying to get close to Fleo. Fleo decides to tell them that Reese is his wife, and he just trying to live a quiet and peaceful life with her. The knights back off as they understand, but Reese is then the one to suggest Fleo will help them. She points out that as his wife, she knows better than anyone that he is a kind man that can abandon someone in need. Fleo knows that he can't really teach what he doesn't know, but he can tell that they really need his help. He explains that he might not be a great teacher, but he does agree to train them. The girls are overjoyed, but they have one more request. They need a place to stay and would even be willing to pay rent for the corner of the living room. Reese thinks it's a fantastic idea since there are plenty of rooms, and she and Fleo can share a bed, since they are married. Elsewhere, it is reported to the Dark One that the one who eliminated the demons and purified the Delavisa forest was not part of the kingdom of Clyrode. It was a lone individual. The Dark One is surprised to hear that one person has powerful enough magic to eliminate demons instantly. He has made his decision and instructs his subordinate to find and capture this individual at all costs. And with that, we have come to the end of this part. Stay tuned for next part. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates.